Many people believe their failures stem from bad luck, a world stacked against them, or a destiny they weren't meant to escape. But the truth is, failure doesn't begin with your outcomes. It starts in the quiet moments of your morning, in the thoughts that greet you when you wake, in the way you launch your day. Every morning, whether you realize it or not, you're laying the foundation for your future. If your mornings are filled with disorder, distraction, doubt, or hesitation, you're reinforcing a cycle that leads to the same mistakes day after day. I've learned that success isn't a random event or a stroke of fortune. It's the direct result of what you choose to do, or not do, as the day begins. If you're tired of falling short, you don't need a miracle to change your path. You need to master your mornings. When you take charge of those first decisions, you take charge of your direction. And when you control your direction, success stops being a distant dream and becomes a deliberate daily plan. Failure doesn't announce itself loudly. It doesn't arrive with a warning sign. It creeps in through the small choices. It settles into the first moments of your day, when you hit snooze instead of rising, when you scroll through notifications before setting your intentions, when you silently think, today won't be different. That's where it begins. In the invisible battle most people lose before they even get out of bed. What shapes whether your day is purposeful, focused, and productive isn't what you do at noon. It's what you do in the first 30 minutes after waking. If you start your day reacting, stumbling through chaos, or giving into lethargy, you're entering life at a disadvantage. The world doesn't wait for you to find your focus. It rewards those already moving, while others are still shaking off sleep. Here's a truth many avoid. Success isn't built on rare, grand decisions. It's forged through tiny, consistent choices made every single day. How you rise, what you tell yourself, which thoughts you allow, and how you prioritize your goals. These either build you up or wear you down. This isn't about waking at dawn for the sake of trends or copying someone else's routine. It's about clarity, knowing who you are, what you want, and what you're willing to do to get there. That clarity only sparks when you steer your mind in the morning, not when you let it wander aimlessly. You can't expect new results if every morning starts with improvisation, noise, or a lack of purpose. Your day isn't shaped by the clock, it's shaped by your intention. Your morning is the training ground for your character. It's where you decide if today is just another day, or the start of a new life. Every time you wake and give in to the urge to sleep longer, avoid discomfort, or dwell on what's missing, you're reinforcing an identity that keeps you stuck. But when you treat your morning as sacred, when you claim that first hour as yours, not the world's, something shifts. You feel it. It shows. That shift compounds because one strong morning doesn't guarantee a perfect day, but it equips you to face it with greater strength, focus, and purpose. Over time, that transforms everything. Your life doesn't change when a big opportunity arrives. It changes when you stop wasting the small ones, especially the one you get every morning. A rushed, chaotic, distracted morning pulls you further from your best self, and you don't even notice. Morning failures don't have immediate consequences. No alarm blares when you delay what matters. No penalty appears when you slip into autopilot. There's just a subtle unease, a dip in energy, a sense that you're chasing something always out of reach. Over time, that feeling becomes who you are. You start telling yourself, I'm not consistent. I'm always missing something. I'm not like others. But what you're missing isn't motivation. It's structure. It's focus. It's the firm choice to stop handing your mornings to chaos. If you don't master your start, the rest of your day drags you along. You don't fail because of what you do in big moments. You fail because of what you don't do when no one's watching, when you don't rise as promised, when you don't write down your goals, when you don't envision who you want to become, when you don't train your mind instead of feeding complaints. Every morning is a blank page. You can fill it with habits that strengthen you or ones that drain you. The danger isn't having one messy morning. It's having them every day and thinking it's normal. What you repeat without awareness becomes your destiny. If every sunrise is lukewarm, scattered, or weak, how can you expect your life to be clear, strong, and purposeful? You must design your mornings as if you're designing your future, because you are. What you do in that first hour after waking sends a signal to your brain. Either you're here to own the day or merely survive it. Your brain responds accordingly. Start with order, intention, and direction, and everything aligns. Your emotions stabilize, your decisions grow firmer, and your motivation stops, depending on external sparks. It flows from who you are, but if you begin reacting to messages, social media, or thoughts of scarcity, chaos takes over before you can choose otherwise. Another day slips through your fingers. Here's what to do. Rise without debating laziness. Drink water as your first act of self-respect. Sit quietly, even for 5 minutes, and ask, what do I need today to feel proud by nightfall? Not what the world needs, not your job, not your surroundings, you. Then write 3 things. 1 action to move toward your goal, 1 attitude to maintain, and 1 thought you won't allow today. That's structure, that's direction. It takes less than 15 minutes, but those 15 minutes are worth more than a day without purpose. It's not about doing everything. It's about doing what matters, right at the start, where your day takes shape, where you decide if it's another repeat or a bold statement of change. Let me be clear. Many think they fail because they lack luck, time, or the right moment. The truth is harsher and simpler. They fail because they haven't learned to stay consistent when enthusiasm fades. Anyone can start strong on a Monday, but few keep going on Thursday when their body feels heavy, their mind doubts, and the world demands attention. That's where the difference lies. Not in the intensity of your start, but in the strength of your follow-through. It doesn't matter how many times you've tried. If you haven't sustained action, with or without desire, with or without results, you'll stay trapped in the same loop. Start, get excited, get distracted, give up. That cycle breaks every morning, not with brute force, but with precise focus. A disciplined mind knows the real enemy isn't external failure. It's internal disconnection. That feeling of living each day like an accident, as if you can't choose how to feel, act, or respond. That's a lie. You can choose. You can choose which thoughts to nurture, which habits to sustain, which excuses to silence. But choice requires awareness. And awareness only comes when you pause, breathe, and guide your mind before the world fills it with noise. What are you feeding your mind each morning? What thoughts loop before you even leave your bed? If you start with guilt, complaints, or comparisons, you're digging a trench in your own path. You might not see it. You call it routine, but it's slow self-sabotage. If you don't control your first thought, you've lost half the day. Your thoughts shape your emotions shape your actions, and your actions shape your results. If your first thought is, I don't want to get up, today will be tough. Same as always, everything that follows carries that weight. But if your first thought is chosen, not imposed, you reclaim power. If you start with direction, your day gains a backbone. It won't be perfect or easy, but it'll have structure. That structure holds you up when emotions fall short. Take control with something as simple as rising when you promised, not out of duty, but out of self-respect. Then breathe, write your goals, and visualize, even for 2 minutes, the version of you who's already succeeded. See how they act, walk, and speak. That version isn't a fantasy, it's a possibility. But you can only reach it if today's you makes choices aligned with it. Everything begins in the morning, where you plant your vision, sharpen your focus, and set the day's tone. If you don't own that moment, others will. But if you claim it, the world starts to respond, because it follows those who command themselves. The biggest mistake of those who keep failing isn't that they don't try. It's that they start their day without direction, without a true commitment to themselves. Getting up early means nothing without purpose. Drinking coffee and staring at a screen carries no weight without intention. You can stay busy all day and end up empty. Busyness isn't productivity, and productivity isn't progress. Real progress requires clarity, and clarity is built from the moment you open your eyes. If you want to stop failing, you don't need to change everything at once. You need to start your day with intention, with direction, with a plan. A simple, powerful plan, repeated so often your mind sees it as an unbreakable command. If you're here, something in you is tired of the same cycles. Something knows you're capable of more, that you deserve more, that you've delayed out of fear, doubt, or lack of structure. That can change, not with words, but with actions, with a different morning. One where you look in the mirror and don't see the same person. One where, even if the world doesn't notice, You feel something new inside. Determination, strength, quiet power. That feeling of today I'm different. Not because everything's solved, but because this time you won't betray yourself. This time you'll follow through, even if no one sees, even if there's no applause, even if it's hard, you're worth it. You're done living days that feel like copies of the past. If these words are stirring you, if something inside says this is your moment, subscribe now. Not for the channel, not for the videos, for you. To remind yourself daily that there's a better path, a clearer, stronger way to live. A place where growth, discipline, and awareness are honored. You're not alone. Many of us refuse to give up, to delay, to settle. Every new subscriber is a symbol, a person who chose to change how they start their day, and with it, how they walk through life. Write in the comments, this time I follow through. Write it for yourself, not for me. So tomorrow, when the alarm rings, you remember that promise and keep it. That simple phrase can become your code, your compass, your anchor. If you repeat it enough, your mind will believe it. When your mind believes, you act. When you act, you're no longer repeating the same story. You're writing a new one with the ink of will, the letters of character, and pages filled with firm decisions. That's how transformation begins. Not with a miracle, but with a different morning. It starts here. What few grasp is that every morning is a chance to rewrite yourself. You don't need a new month, a new year, or a Monday. Every day you wake is a quiet invitation from destiny. Will you live like yesterday, or will you build something new? That building isn't emotional. It doesn't depend on how motivated you feel. It depends on how much you're willing to act, even without desire. If your commitment to yourself hinges on your mood, you're trapped, imprisoned by impulses, hormones, weather, or circumstances. But if your commitment is unshakable, you do what needs doing, no matter how you feel. You move, you organize, you stand firm, because your word outweighs your emotions. What separates those who achieve greatness from those stuck halfway isn't intelligence, luck, or connections. It's the invisible discipline no one sees, but changes everything. The discipline that gets you up early when no one forces you, that makes you plan your day when you could improvise, that drives you to read, write, train your mind, set boundaries, and breathe before reacting. That discipline strengthens you inwardly, even without external applause. It hardens you without making you cold, focuses you without making you rigid, transforms you because you stop being a slave to old habits and become the architect of your identity. But none of this happens without routine, without making it non-negotiable. You don't need more motivation. You need rituals that remind you who you are, who you want to be, and what you're willing to do. Those rituals start when you wake, with a deep breath, a clear affirmation, a firm action, a silent decision. Today, I don't fail myself. Repeat that every morning. Write it, read it, feel it, make it your mantra. The person who doesn't fail themselves becomes unstoppable. They'll have bad days, moments of doubt, but they don't stop, don't crumble, don't lose themselves, because their direction is stronger than their emotions. Over time, that inner strength shows outwardly. Your decisions quicken, your voice steadies, your posture straightens, your presence clarifies. You've built a structure within that holds you up, a structure you created each morning by choosing not to repeat the past, by doing what's needed, even when it's not easy, by treating yourself as someone committed to their best self. That's what sets you apart. Not perfection, but strength. Not flawlessness, but freedom from excuses. What began as a small habit becomes a new way of living. That silent, real change transforms everything. Most people fail not because they lack dreams, but because they don't protect their energy. They start their morning with good intentions, but as soon as the day presses, they forget everything. It's not that they don't want to move forward. It's that they lack a strategy to stay focused when notifications buzz, problems arise, or others demand their time, attention, and mind. That's when the day slips away, not at 5 p.m., but at 9 a.m., when they let external chaos dictate their inner path. To stop failing, you don't just need a plan. You need to shield your focus, make it an unbreakable fortress. In a world competing for your attention every second, focus isn't just an advantage, it's a necessity. Your morning is the most sacred time because it's still untouched by others' urgencies. It's a pure, quiet space. If you don't seize it, you lose it. If you don't fill it with direction, noise will. That noise, though it seems harmless, pulls you from your goals. Distraction today feels minor, but repeated daily, it builds a mediocre life. One with motion, but no progress. Activity, but no depth. That's what exhausts you. Not effort, but lack of purpose. Not hard work, but disconnection from your vision. So, use each morning as a reset. Not symbolically, but practically, strategically. Train yourself to return to your center, to filter what enters your mind, to choose what you think, what you focus on, what you give power to. Build a ritual that anchors you, that forces you to remember who you are before the world tries to define you. It could be a written affirmation, a key question, a mindful breath, a vivid visualization. But do it every day, without excuses, without pauses, without interruptions. It doesn't just prepare you, it protects you from chaos, anxiety, and confusion, from that sense of being alive, but directionless. It doesn't need to take an hour. Just make it real. Make it connect you to your vision. Remind yourself your time is valuable. Your mind isn't for rent. Your energy isn't available to everyone. If you hold that focus, if you make it discipline, something shifts. Distractions lose their grip. Others' urgencies stop pulling you off course. Your emotions stop controlling you because you've decided you won't fail for lack of clarity, won't repeat the same story, won't give your most precious asset, your attention, to what doesn't build you. That change, though invisible at first, makes you unstoppable. The one who masters their focus masters their destiny. The problem isn't failing once. It's building an inner story that justifies failing again. A silent narrative you repeat every morning, often without noticing. I'm not enough. I always quit. I don't have what it takes. That voice, barely a whisper, becomes an internal command, programming your actions, sabotaging your decisions, pulling you back to the same place, even when you try to move forward. No habit is more destructive than how you speak to yourself. What you tell yourself when you wake, what you think as the day begins. To stop failing, rewrite that story. Rewrite how you see yourself. You can't build a new life with a mind repeating the same old lies. Deep change doesn't happen without mental reprogramming, not shallow positive thinking, but strategic repetition, conscious affirmation, a daily practice of choosing who you want to be until that person becomes real. Not through blind faith, but through trained conviction. Every morning, speak to yourself as if you're already that version. It doesn't matter if you don't feel it yet, if your world doesn't reflect it. You train from within. If your mind believes it, your body follows. If your body acts, your life transforms. It's that simple, that powerful. Don't lie to yourself. Direct your mind before it drags you back to old patterns. Say out loud each morning, today, I act as a disciplined, strong, determined person, even if I don't feel it yet. By repeating it, sustaining it, moving from that energy, you shift your identity. You don't act based on what you want. You act based on who you believe you are. If you keep telling yourself you're weak, distracted, or inconsistent, you'll behave that way. But if you affirm daily who you've chosen to be, even before you feel it, today's affirmation becomes tomorrow's character. The morning is the perfect time to plant that narrative, before doubt interrupts, before noise pollutes, when there's still silence to hear yourself clearly. Write it, say it, record it if needed, and listen daily. Your mind doesn't distinguish between what's real and what's repeated. It just needs consistency, direction. If you don't take charge, someone else will. The world will tell you what to think, how to feel, what to fear. But if you act first, if you plant your truth, everything else loses power. You've chosen your story. A person who chooses their story every morning is already winning, even before leaving their bed. One of the quietest causes of failure is carrying unhealed emotional weight from the past. You start the day with your body in the present, but your mind stuck in old mistakes, missed opportunities, or words that hurt you. You haven't forgiven yourself. Though you try to focus, though you set clear goals, that invisible burden sabotages your progress. Guilt slows you. It makes you doubt. It starts your day with low energy, your mind split between what you want to achieve and what you, haven't let go. Understand this. What you don't resolve, you repeat. What you don't forgive limits you. What you don't face drags you down. Part of every morning must be clearing that weight. Forgive yourself for what you didn't know. Accept that you acted with the awareness you had then. If you do differently now, it's because you've grown, learned, become someone new. That's not weakness, it's maturity. A mature person doesn't justify their past, but they don't stay trapped in it either. They honor it, learn from it, move beyond it. That restores your energy, your focus, your freedom. Each morning, pause, close your eyes, breathe deeply, and say, "Today, I don't punish myself. I use all I've been to become better." That simple phrase, said with intention, with an open heart, clears more than hours of overthinking. It gives you permission to move forward without weight. It reminds you that you're not your mistakes. You're the one who faced them and kept going. That narrative, repeated daily, lets you move forward with your chest open, your back straight, your gaze steady. It changes how you walk, talk, decide, because you're no longer running from your past. You're using it as a foundation. That clean, intentional foundation gives you stability the world can't provide. Every new day is a blank page. Don't carry yesterday's stains. Don't start with old ink. Write something new, strong, yours, worthy. To do that, let go of the idea that you must carry everything. Not today. Today you start differently. Today you move lightly. A person who moves lightly can go as far as they choose. The biggest mistake of those who fail repeatedly is thinking change requires a complete overhaul. They believe they need a dramatic transformation, a miraculous event, a moment when everything magically aligns. But real change doesn't work that way. Great transformations start with small, sustained commitments. Actions so simple they seem insignificant, but repeated daily, become unshakable foundations. You don't fail because you lack the ability to change. You fail because you underestimate the power of small steps. You doubt that waking 5 minutes earlier, writing 3 sentences, choosing the calmer response to anger, or drinking water before coffee can change your life. But it can. It will. If you repeat it, honor it. Make it part of your new identity. Stop romanticizing change as something dramatic. Real change doesn't need fanfare or epic music. It's quiet, repetitive, often boring. But that's where the magic hides, in what you do when no one's watching, in what you sustain even without immediate results, in what you hold to even when you don't feel like it. To sustain it, you need an inner emotional structure, a voice that says, this small act, though it seems like nothing, is everything. You don't fall because you lack knowledge. You fall because you lack a system. That system is built with aligned micro-actions, clear steps, order. If every morning you tell yourself you need to change everything, you'll burn out before you start. But if you say, today, I'll just be better at one thing, you reclaim power. You don't overwhelm, you focus. That focus, sustained for a week, a month, a year, makes you unstoppable. You're not competing with the world. You're building yourself from within, step by step, brick by brick, with the patience of someone who doesn't need to prove anything, only to advance. Ask yourself each morning, what can I do today to get one step closer to my best self? Not perfection, not total success, just your best self. It could be a decision, a conversation, a chosen silence, an excuse you no longer accept, anything as long as it's conscious, yours, real. When you choose one small victory daily, something inside you strengthens. When that strengthens, failure doesn't sting the same. It stops being an end and becomes a teacher. That's how you win. Not with grand gestures, but with minimal, daily, firm, deliberate consistency. One day, you'll wake and realize everything you dreamed of didn't come by magic. It came because you didn't give up on the small things. The person who doesn't quit on the small achieves the great, always. In the end, when the days have passed and excuses no longer hold, you'll see a simple, undeniable truth. You didn't fail for lack of opportunities. You failed because you didn't take charge of yourself each morning. Every sunrise gave you a chance to rewrite your story, to reshape your destiny, to walk differently. You chose to delay, to repeat, to wait. But if you're here, if you've made it this far, Something inside you refuses to stay the same. A voice within screams silently, enough of the same. When you listen to that voice with courage, it becomes your guide, your strength, your rebirth. You weren't born to survive days. You were born to build a life worth living, a life with direction, character, power. That life isn't given, it's conquered. You conquer it when you stop negotiating with excuses, when you commit to your best self, when every morning you wake with one question: how can I honor myself today? When a person honors themselves, when they choose to stop being the result of their past and become the architect of their present, the world no longer drags them. They move through it, master it, transform it. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. It won't come. You don't need more information, motivation, or inspiration. You need emotional discipline, inner commitment, a morning ritual, and a brutally honest decision. I take charge of myself today. You're done looking back with regret, done being a passive spectator in your own story, done knowing deep down you're meant for more. You can have the life you want. You can rebuild confidence, gain clarity, find strength, achieve success, and live fully. But only if you start acting every morning like someone who no longer betrays themselves, like someone who doesn't need pushing, like someone who, upon opening their eyes, says, "Today, I don't fail. Today I become who I came to be." When that phrase stops being a wish and becomes your law, there's no turning back. You're not the same. You don't stop. You've understood it at last. The person who transforms their morning transforms their entire life.